When you talk, I'll just camera over.
Okay.
We are live on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube.
Oh.
What? Can you record this one, please?
Record it.
Record it for me or for us. Thank you, hon.
Take my number down, call me now. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I know what. I'm gonna record it, but right now I'm trying to work on something really quickly. Okay, so I'll record it after I finish whatever is going on. Okay?
What's going on?
I don't know. I have to.
You got something going on over there?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
Oh, okay.
So I promise you I'm gonna record.
I'm gonna go live on Facebook too. Okay. Juan, can you go on your phone and accept it, please? I greatly appreciate it. Okay, he's talking, and we're gonna go on the air, so he's gonna have to shush la boca.
Well, you know what? Until she's ready to record, let's just, because that's important. How are we going to do this?
I'm not freaking out. Why are you? Hey guys! Oh, I forgot we were live on YouTube, and we're over here talking. 2 minutes already into our show.
I'm bringing you guys up, okay?
All right, welcome to Nuestra Comunidad Indiana, aquí radicando en vivo desde los estudios. Welcome YouTube, welcome 1370 WLTH AM, and welcome Facebook. Welcome, buenas tardes, ¿cómo están todos ustedes? Están escuchando WLTH AM 1370, aquí en vivo desde nuestros estudios en Gary, Indiana. And, of course, the views expressed by the host and the callers of the show not necessarily the views of WLTH radio management, owners and sponsors, and advertisers. And, of course, we're going to have just one or two announcements, and we're going to get right in it because we have a lovely guest waiting patiently to my left. Did I just say lovely?
I have been called a lot of things before. I don't think lovely.
I was thinking of your mom. She is to my left. For your information.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been corrected.
But I don't know if she wants to talk about you.
No comment.
The views expressed by the host and the callers of the show are not the views of WLTH radio management, owners and sponsors and advertisers. And also, come on over here a little closer. Get a little close. Now, don't be shy. You guys used to hear that song before, right?
Yes.
All right. Juanito, what announcements you have over there?
Well,
I'm feeling hoarse here.
First of all, there's a pig roast coming up at St. Pat's on Friday, November the 16th from 5:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., featuring DJ Mike and Los Romanticos. Menu includes lechon, rice, potato salad, macaroni salad, corn, green beans, and rolls. Advance tickets, $20 each, or 2 for $35 in advance. At the door, it's $25 each, or 2 for $40 at the door. Ages 21 and over. So this is an event for adults only, includes dinner plate and first beverage. Limited tickets sold at the door. So I will have tickets to sell. This is on behalf of, I guess, a partnership between the Brilliance Insurance Group and People's Bank. The Señorita Arcelia Corona, who will be providing and presenting these workshops that have to do with Medicare, who is also bilingual and does provide Spanish presentations. She's going to be providing Medicare health plans as a local independent agent. So coming up, there's already a list of dates and times and locations to talk about Medicare. And this is for people that are 65 years, I guess, or older. older. So the first one
Older.
coming up is October 26th from 10 to 11 o'clock at 7915 Taft Street in Maryville, Indiana. And then the one after, well, also on that same day is October the 26th, 2 to 3 p.m. at 1801 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana. I'll put this on our Facebook for Nuestra Comunidad Northwest Indiana. And was contacted the other day by someone named Jose. I don't know who Jose was, but
He doesn't
this
know
is
how to
Jose.
ask. Jose, who is this?
Jose Quintana.
Quintana. Man, where's your Spanish
Okay,
at?
so
Quintana.
you know what? They're going to be having a knock on doors, and they're looking for volunteers to go knock on doors in reference, I guess, in this case, to the Democratic Party to get the vote out. So
important.
It is very, very, so they're going to be canvassing the neighborhood.
Ooh.
I will also put this on our Facebook because there's a lot of information on there. So be looking for this this weekend in reference to getting out the vote. And just let me just say this real quickly. Election day is Tuesday, November the 6th. Ladies and gentlemen, do not stay home. You can vote early, so you don't have to vote on November 6th. But if you wait until November 6th, one way or the other, do go out and vote. This is a very critical election. Thank you.
And some of you know why we're sorry for my hand and my Facebook page. And you guys know why it's critical, right? And the sleeping giant is finally waking up. Latinos in the house, finally waking up. Speaking of Latinos, tu cuerpo, solo tienes un cuerpo para experimentar las alegrías de vivir, así es que cuídalo. Evaluación del Centro de Prevención de Enfermedades Cardiovasculares los lunes, martes y jueves. De 8:30 a 11:30, horas adicionales por cita, 7217 Indianapolis Boulevard en Hammond, Indiana. Vayan, que es completamente gratis. Antecedentes familiares de enfermedades cardíacas o diabetes, su falta de ejercicio y sus hábitos alimentosos lo ponen en riesgo. Los proveedores del Centro de Prevención Cardiovascular del Hospital Santa Catarina ofrecen gratis evaluaciones del American Heart Association para determinar su riesgo de enfermedades cardíacas u otras afecciones médicas y relacionadas. Si es que bienvenidos, no se necesita una cita, es completamente gratis. Las evaluaciones incluyen historia de diabetes, glucosa A1C, AB1, prueba de circulación de la pierna, presión sanguínea, índice de masa corporal, colesterol, glucosa aleatoria y circunferencia de la cintura. Así es que completamente gratis, aprovechen esta oportunidad, no se requiere ayuno, debe de tener 18 años o más y llame al 219-392-7287. 219-392-7287 para que hagan una cita, pero no es necesario. Welcome, walk-ins are welcome. And so we're going to start right away because I did say we're going to start at 5:05. We do have a wonderful guest here. He's handsome. He's not lovely. Okay, let's just say this. His spirit is lovely.
I like that. That's good.
Is that okay?
I'm good.
Is that better?
Sí.
You feel it better?
I am feeling
Okay.
better. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, Earl. ¿Cómo estás? Good afternoon. How are you?
Bien. ¿Y usted?
Muy bien, gracias. You know, I'm all on fire, man. I've been on fire since early this morning.
I can tell.
And it wasn't the Monster drink, the Monster drink that they gave me.
I didn't know Monster had its own drink.
I keep saying Monster. I meant Monster. Shows I don't drink it. Shows I'm not familiar with it other than kids saying, oh, I want some of this. It gives me energy. So they told me it gives you energy. I said, don't you see I don't need any? What do you want me to do? Jump off the walls? Then I said, so what does it do? Because I still feel the same way. Anyway, without further ado, we welcome, of course, State Representative Earl Harris Jr.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Bienvenido.
Sí.
So tell us, there's probably some listeners, some viewers. We're live on YouTube, Nuestra Comunidad NWI. So now you can subscribe to our new YouTube channel, on Twitter as well, Nuestra Comunidad NWI. And of course, we have Earl Harris here, and he has a page as well. And he's going to tell us, I know who he is, but you guys may not know. So take it away.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm Earl Harris, State Representative for House District 2. And actually, the first thing I'd like to do is thank the voters of House District 2 for re-electing me and sending me back to Indianapolis to represent them. So I greatly appreciate it. I'm fortunate in the situation where my district, there are a lot more Democrats and Republicans, so I do not have a general election opponent. So what I've been doing really is just focused on get out the vote and then helping other candidates that are on the ballot that do have opponents. And
well, that's very nice and kind of you. That's great.
Keep in office or get newly elected, depending on what the situation is.
That's great.
Yeah.
So welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
Congratulations.
You're welcome. I appreciate that.
You know, they say, speak those things that are not as though they were.
Yes, that is true. I completely agree with that. So, but in all seriousness, it's very important that we get out and vote. Whether you go early, I mean, Juan talked about this 2 seconds ago. Whether you go early or you go on November 6th, it's very important that we get out and vote. Your vote is your voice. And as we know, it's been factually proven. Look at what happened with President Obama in his first election. Northwest Indiana pushed him over into being elected for Indiana, or winning Indiana, which pushed him over and got him elected. So we know the role that we have played and can play in this election. And when we look at, our upcoming election, we have Senator Joe Donnelly, we have Congressman Pete Vislowski, Indiana Secretary of State candidate Jim Harper, Jocelyn Whitaker for auditor, State Treasurer John Aguilera, our Lake County Sheriff Oscar Martinez, and a lot of other people on the Democrat ballot that we need to make sure we get out and vote. So that's really what I'm here talking about, and been doing a lot of talking and to people about that and the importance of voting. And it really is. I mean, if you think about it, for a part of the population, there are people who sacrificed, who died, were beaten, etc., so that we would have the ability to vote.
Exactly.
So to me, it's important that we honor them, that we do what we should do, which is get out and vote, and we also honor those people who made sacrifices before.
And on that note, are you taking callers, Earl? Because I believe we have a caller here on the line. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air here with Earl Harris Jr. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Vernon Smith. How are you, Representative Smith?
Was that yours? Sorry.
I have to. I am good, sir.
Why aren't you in here?
I'm going to tell some info. Representative Smith has had a little bit of fun over the first 2 years.
You think?
With
a little?
myself and Joe Taylor, as he has enjoyed calling us freshies.
Oh, is it going to be like that now?
It will no longer be like that. He will no longer be able to harass us. And maybe that's the wrong word, but I'm going to use it anyway. Harass us as he does, as he has been the last 2 years. But yeah, and Vernon, I really appreciate, in all seriousness, there's a lot of people like Representative Smith that I appreciate that have been very helpful and provided information and guidance when needed in these first 2 years that I've served. So I do thank you for that, sir, even though some abuse comes with it.
Hey, Dr. Vernon, tell him it's tough love.
And I remember my first year, I got elected on Sunday, and I was down there Monday at 1 o'clock. And so I didn't have anybody to groom me. But Earl had the experience of shadowing his father for many years. Then he shadowed his mom for a year and a half, I think it was. And so he came in well prepared, and he has been an exemplary freshman. I mean, I really have the greatest admiration for him. And you know what I really think is important is we don't have enough legislators who really care about people. And Earl is one who really cares, and I can always depend on him. If I need to go to him. He's a source of information, a source of support. Hopefully we mutually support each other. But I have the greatest amount of admiration for him, and I wanted to call him and say that. And thank you, Eve, for allowing me the opportunity.
Oh, if I'd have known it was you, I would have said, come on inside.
The door is always open here at WLTH.
That's right. Mi casa es tu casa.
Okay. And let me just make an announcement. On next Friday, the 26th,
are you going to send him
we're having a forum for all candidates, both Democrats and Republicans. It will not be a debate. You'll come in and have a chance to make a 3-minute spiel about your candidacy and why people ought to vote for you. We're inviting the whole community out. We will have refreshments. This is being sponsored by the Get Out the Vote Committee, idea of our chairperson, and John McLeod. And we want everybody to come out. Because I've heard callers say they don't know who the candidates are. We have a chance to find out, because we'll hopefully have the whole slate of Democratic as well as Republican candidates from downstate. We're going to extend the invitation to them, as well as the county people and the local people who are on the ballot. So come out and get a chance to ask questions and to hear what the candidates have to say on next Friday. That's October 26th, 5:30 p.m.
Oh, wonderful. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for that. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it, Dr. Smith.
Thank you. Okay, be blessed. Okay,
You
bye.
as well.
Have a good night.
So,
Yes.
let me just tell you personally,
Mhm.
what has being the state representative done to you and for you?
Well, Dr. Smith kind of alluded to the background I have in this, and I know that's not a secret. My father held this position for 33 years until he passed away in 2015. And then my mother was elected. So I really have been around it for most of my life. And as I like to say, it's different being in the big chair
Right.
than what it is. So,
Exactly.
it really did help in that I knew a lot of the process. I knew a lot of the people already as well. So I didn't walk in, not knowing not knowing who to talk to, whom people were, et cetera. And I even jokingly say I already knew where the bathrooms were at the State House because I was a little kid when I
Right,
first started
right.
going there.
That felt like you were at home, right?
Felt like I was at home. Yeah,
Mhm.
it really was. And so, things like that. One of the things I talked about on the campaign trail for the 2016 election is relationships equal resources. And I walked
Right,
in with a
that is
lot
true.
of relationships already in place, both in Indianapolis and as well as local. And so, to me, that made things a little bit easier and made the transition happen a little easier. And hopefully it has helped me accomplish some of the things that I've accomplished and will continue to accomplish as time goes on.
So, what else have you accomplished, or you want to share here with our public?
Well, I want to talk about the importance of voting and how we here in Northwest Indiana, we're going to play a key role in this. And, that's a big thing for me. When you look at our statewide ticket, when you talk about Senator Donnelly and Secretary of State candidate Jim Harper and Auditor Jocelyn Whitaker and Treasurer John Aguilera, I talked about the importance of Northwest Indiana. When you look at them, John Aguilera is from East Chicago, so he's a Northwest Indiana product.
Shout out to John.
Shout out to John.
Yeah.
And then Jim Harper is Valparaiso. So that's
Okay.
basically our neighbor. So when you look at 2 of the 4 statewide candidates we have, they have Northwest Indiana connections. And then we also have a diverse ticket. I mean, we have Jocelyn Whitaker for auditor is a Black female, and John Aguilera being a Hispanic male. So we really do have a lot of diversity, and we have a good Northwest Indiana mix here. So I think it's important to vote, support our people. And then, of course, we have Lake County Sheriff. And when you talk about the entire county, Sheriff Oscar Martinez, it's important to get out and vote for him. I mean, there was it was pretty contentious primary. There were, I forget how many candidates in that. There were 7, 8, 9, 10 people.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, there were a bunch in there.
Right,
so the fact that he came out of that, we want to make sure that Sheriff Martinez can continue to serve as our sheriff. And so it's important to get the vote out. And we kind of alluded to earlier when you talk about Latinos. I mean, we really do have a sizable population here in Northwest Indiana. I mean, my home city of East Chicago is about, I think, 45% Hispanic. So we want to make sure, and I know I've seen some things on TV where there's talk of, are Hispanics going to come out and vote? Well, we need to come out and vote. We need to make sure that.
Yeah, don't just become an American citizen just to say that.
Exactly.
Come in and vote. Use that right that you have.
Exactly. People you fought for, you as coming and becoming a citizen, if that's how your path was, you fought for that right. So let's get out and do some things with it.
Exactly.
So, and we had last night, we had Lake County Democrats event in Maryville, where Senator John Donnelly was there. And then he actually had a special guest of U.S. Senator from Colorado, Senator Michael Bennet. And so that was a very exciting event. It was a great opportunity for us as Democrats to hang out, talk, have some fellowship, and really hear, the message from different people. And we had statewide candidates were all there. So it's a great time.
Wonderful. And for those of you who just chimed in with us, this is Nuestra Comunidad NWI, AM 1370, the Region's Choice and the People's Voice, 92.7 FM and 1370 AM, and of course, 1370 WLTH.com. And we're live on Facebook, and we are live on YouTube. That's right. Subscribe to YouTube, and you can actually chat with us. Unfortunately, I cannot chat with you live on Facebook because then you'll see my finger all up in the screen. Right?
That's not good visual.
No, para nada. So what else you have over there?
Well,
you brought some great information.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to share some information because I've already, again, one of the great things about not having a general election opponent is I can support other people, and then I'm already starting to working on the legislation for the 2019 legislative session. And a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. One of the things, it was actually a promise I made. The retired Gary police and firemen, I promised them I would work with them on their pensions. And so we have summer study committees that are going on still In fact, this one actually ended already, but one of the summer study committees that I was on had to do with pension management. And so I have some legislation that I will bring. I actually started this process last session, but then kind of backed off to get it into the study committee for this summer.
Okay.
It has to do with the police and firefighters pension, and I promised that I would work on that, and so I wanted to keep my word and the importance of it, because we really have a situation where we need to really support the people. When you talk about fire and police, when we're all running in one direction during an emergency, they're all running in the opposite direction towards whatever the problem is. So real quick, I want to talk about this because I think we have to take a break. What I will be filing in terms of legislation is the current lump sum death benefit, which is really known as the burial fund, is currently at $12,000 for them, and so my legislation will be to move that to $18,000. And then when you look at the death benefit for survivors, wife, children, etc., the current amount is $150, and I'm looking at final legislation to move that to $225. And part of what, as I talked about in PMOC, is we're here in Northwest Indiana. We have people who, when they look at what they want to do, they can get a better deal in Illinois. So if we want to be in a situation to make sure we get the best of, we need to have a good package for our people. So that's one of the things I'm working on. And that's one of the pieces of legislation that I'll be filing. It did go through PMOC, and it had a 7 in favor, 5 against vote.
Okay, we're going to come back in just a minute. We have a commercial. We'll be right back after this.
Page at WLTH 1370 AM and on our website.
I know.
WLTH.
It's the commercials come in on
the
line, whatever. So I have to put a pause. That's all. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Facebook. How are you? How you doing? You should share it on your page.
You should share it on my page.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I see that.
But we have the power to stop them. More than ever, we need to elect leaders who will stand
Keep
up
inviting,
and block
Juanito.
Trump's biased agenda.
Oops.
Joe Donnelly is one of those
Keep
leaders.
inviting. Oh, that's political, so I
I
guess that's different. Keep inviting.
We're here in Northwest
There you
Indiana.
go.
Childhood education for our children.
Right. Share. 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 Say hello. Say hello to my little friend, Earl.
Okay, what do I press?
Just hit share.
Right there?
Yeah. And then if you want to write something, say tune in, I'm on or something. That's
okay.
So if you guys on YouTube and Facebook want to share this, it's important information. It's about educating you. It's important that you vote, and it's important that you be heard. And that's the way your voice can be heard, through your vote, right?
Yes, that is true.
I mean, if you don't vote, then we can't complain. We can't say anything. Can't complain.
I completely agree with that. If you're going to, we hear a lot of people complaining. You ask that question: are you registered to vote? Are you voting? Well, no. Well, then it kind of takes away.
Cállate la boca si no vas a votar, chico.
What she said.
Right, Juan? No se pueden quejar, no pueden decir nada si no se ponen a votar, porque su voz es su voto.
Sí.
¿Entendieron?
Sí.
Your voice is your vote. Exercise that right.
Exercise that. So exercise it because you don't want to
have
lose
that
it.
right. Exactly.
And that's part of it, is we are in a situation where we could lose rights we have.
Exactly. So we're back on the air. Yeah. Welcome back on WLTH AM 1370, the Region's Choice and the People's Voice. It's 24 minutes after the hour. Time flies when you're having fun. And of course, we have state representative active now. As of when? You've been state
I've been
rep?
16 since 2016.
Since 2016. So do you see yourself more mature, that I heard
I have to sit
Dr.
up in my chair
Smith,
now.
now that you're sitting on your chair feeling groovy, what has it done for you personally? I want to know, as my friend Earl, what has it done for you personally?
It really, when you talk about this, it's not about me, it's about other people and serving the community. But I will tell you, I'm enjoying this. I'm having a lot of fun. Again, I mentioned earlier, it's different being in the big chair, but I am having a lot of fun doing this. It's been a great opportunity. This is something I've been around for most of my life. And, I thank the voters for having really the belief in my family, so to continue to elect us to be your representative. So that's a great honor for me. But I'm enjoying it a lot. I mean, I get that question a lot. Are you enjoying this? Are you blah, blah, blah? And
I didn't ask if you were enjoying it.
Well, I
said, what did it do to you and for you, man? Meaning, do you feel like you've grown, like you've learned a lot? or you feel like you have a lot more responsibilities, you're being held accountable, that sort of good stuff.
Responsibilities is definitely a part of it, being held accountable. And I will tell you, as much as I knew walking into this, I've learned a lot. There's always the situation where, you get into things and you really start learning more and getting those behind it. I mean, there's things that you deal with when you're in office that I didn't know, being just the son of a representative. So it's been a great pleasure, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
And I'm glad you are, because we need more Latinos. Now, let me ask you something.
Okay.
Based on a situation that took place in Illinois, in Chicago, and it was all over the media, when something happens to, well, I'll just say it, and I'm going to bring them to come and talk about it as well. I don't know if you guys have seen, something took place with our CEO of Aunt Martha's Health Services and the Illinois, I think, Health Department, or not Health Department, it's the association. And the CEO and the whole executive board actually resigned because of, I believe it was because of what they did. And we're talking about racial inequalities, social injustice, and there was a lot of racism and verbiage and language that was used. And if you go to WGN, you go to the news, you can see it, Raul Garza and Mr. Johnson, I think. And that happened not too long ago. So when it comes to now, you are our state representatives, our legislature, when something like that happens, of that magnitude, of somebody with that magnitude, do you respond? Do you back it up? Do you go and support that person or that entity because of what took place?
Well, you always want to know what the facts are. I mean, the worst thing, or one of the worst things to do, is to make a preemptive decision and get into something without knowing what all the details are. So, it's always important to know all the facts. I have to be honest with you, I don't know all the facts of what you're talking about.
No, but in the event that you do know the facts, because there's some politicians that don't want to get involved, but I'm talking about as a Latino, are you going to support another Latino going through that racial inequality, the racial discrimination, racial profiling? I mean, it was the verbiage that was used about Mexicans and things like that. You guys will read it. I'm not, here, I don't have it here to quote it, but you can read it. And based on that, based on the facts that you may have already, would you back somebody and support somebody?
That's where I was heading. I think when you get to a situation when you know all the details and you want to do what's right, and you want to make sure that, for lack of a better way to phrase this, bad things don't happen to people when they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, I mean, there have been situations where, even in my 2 years of being in office, where we as members of the legislature have stepped up and supported someone and said, look, this is a wrong, whatever the bad thing is someone is trying to do should not be done. And we are here to support this person, and we want them to stay in the position or whatever.
Well, that's good to know. At least I know if somebody something is said, I can call Earl. I can call Earl at least, and you guys heard it, so it's on record.
It's on record. Can I know I think we're running short on time.
Go ahead.
Can I work
share
on
what
one?
You have
All
to
right.
say.
So one of the things I want to share that I'm working on, and this has become a real passion of mine recently. I'll condense the short version. Over the summer, Mark Andalera-Reardon and I, the two Latino members, and I always jokingly say the 1.5 of us because I'm half Mexican.
Well, she's half, but she's half
Mexican,
and half.
half Puerto Rican.
Right. But she's full.
We attended NALEO, which is National Alliance of Latino Elected Officials.
Exactly.
And there's some other people from here in Northwest Indiana that were there. One of the sessions I sat through was a session that had to do with college students that have food issues and homelessness. And I knew this was an issue. I just didn't realize it was as big of an issue as it is. I mean, they were talking huge numbers of students that, couch surf or sleep in their car, or that don't eat, they don't have food, they go days without eating, etc. And so I've really been diving into this, and what I found is there really are no stats. So when you look at, as I'm formulating what I'm going to do for this coming session to work on this, there are really no stats in terms of those numbers, because when you go apply for college, they don't ask you, are you having food issues or are you homeless? That's just not something that's asked. So having stats on that is hard. So what I've been doing is meeting with a lot of the universities, IU, Purdue, Ivy Tech. I have some other meetings coming up working on in terms of Vincennes, etc. And then meeting with different agencies. So Commissioner Lubbers, who's over higher education for the state, and some other agencies, to really figure out what the best path is, because reality is we're losing students that are smart, intelligent, educated, they're dropping out not because they can't handle college. They're dropping out because they're starving.
They need to work.
Yeah,
to help the family.
Yeah, Louis Gonzalez, who's here at East Chicago's Ivy Tech, told me a story he has, and I forget what it's called, but he'll have where students can come in and sit and talk to him, and he brings muffins, orange juice, donuts, etc. And he would have students that would eat one there, and they would ask, "Can I take one with me? Can I take one, one or two with me?" And he said what he was figuring out is those were students that may be the only food they have all day.
Right.
And there's a great story. I met with Dr. Elsperman, who's over Ivy Tech, the whole Ivy Tech system, and she told me a story of a young man that he would come to campus early, as soon as campus opened up, go in the bathroom, and he'd clean himself up because he was homeless. That's how he bathed himself, and nobody knew because he looked put together.
Right.
But he basically spent his time at Ivy Tech, being homeless. So I'm working on some different ideas. I think what I want to do is one of part of the conversation that's happened is talk about doing some sort of a forum to really bring attention to this. So one of the groups I spoke with, they mentioned a national speaker. So we're looking at, doing something hopefully before session starts where we can bring in educators, we can bring in different community groups, your gleaners, etc., to be a part of this and really dive into this and see what the problem is and how we can attack it, or learn more about the problem and how we can attack it. Because one of my focus areas has been workforce development. And when I look at this is part of that. This is part of us making sure that we take care of our students that want to better themselves, that have financial issues. We need to do what we can to help them. And in turn, that actually helps us as a state and a community because we get more people that are educated, trained, etc. So that's a big push for me. And it's interesting because every time I have a conversation with somebody, whether it's an official meeting or just having conversation, just telling them what I'm working on, the reaction is people are either shocked because they don't know it, or the people at the university's response is, yes, whatever you need us to do, we will help you because we know this is a big issue and we want to be behind you. So just an FYI, there'll be more I'll reveal on that as I make some progress.
Yes, please keep us posted. We do have a caller. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, how you doing, sir?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Everything's okay?
Oh, all is well on my end.
I heard the name Louis Gonzalez come up.
Oh.
Look, honorable man. That
Yes,
man
he is.
take care of his students over there. Believe me, that man helped his students.
Yes, he does.
That's I can say for you. This Cleveland Lee.
Yes, I know it's Cleveland. Do you have a question for our state rep?
I'm just honoring Dr. Louis. That's all.
Oh, okay. All right, Cleveland. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling, sir.
This is Nuestra Comunidad. The calling number is 219-885-1371. If you have any questions for our state rep as an active state rep, and what is he going to do as a candidate? What are you promising?
I'm promising to get out there and help people get elected. Good Democrats get elected. That's a focus of mine now because I'm unopposed. So that's what I'm working on. And when you talk about me, again, as I mentioned a moment ago, workforce development is a big thing for me. I'm looking at probably 3, maybe 4 pieces of legislation for this upcoming session that will focus on that. And one of them is I will continue to work on in-state tuition for our undocumented students, because that's a big, important thing. And we have people that want to better themselves, want to get education, want to get training, and we should help them. And we have, as I've talked about this many a time, 2016 report by the Chamber of Commerce, the State Chamber of Commerce, is a third of our state is unskilled, untrained. And for our business community, because they've been behind me with this, they need people that are educated and trained and skilled up. So that's a big thing for me as well.
And I just have a question, and Juanito, if you have any questions for him as well. Based on my experience, when I have to go to court and have to interpret for someone that has been stopped and has no license and they're undocumented, what are we doing about that here in the state of Indiana? It's happened in Illinois, and now my Illinois people from out there, leaders, powers that be, want to come and help Indiana to make it possible for our undocumented to get a license.
I've had conversation about that. Obviously, my focus is on the education side and training side.
Okay.
I really think it's a situation where I will tell you about something I was involved with the Indiana Latino Institute. I think 2 years ago, they had a panel discussion, and there was a police officer who spoke in support of it. And he said, part of what happens, people freak out anyway when the police pull them over if it's for speeding or running a stop sign or whatever. And he said, it really becomes a safety issue because now you have a person who's afraid they're getting pulled over and they're afraid, well, what's that going to mean? Am I going to be arrested for this? Am I going to be deported, etc.?
Right.
And so he was actually in support of some sort of license or something. There are states that have passed something. Indiana, unfortunately, has not. So it really becomes a safety issue as well. And you also have a situation where if you have some sort of legal license or whatever it may be, then you can also get insurance. So if you and I get into a car accident with them,
insurance companies booming up.
Yeah, exactly. So it
buy
really
more
is
vehicles.
a benefit. Yes. Yeah. I mean, when you look at that and the in-state tuition for undocumented students, those are really besides all the other good, it's also economics in terms of people paying into the system, in terms of taxes, in terms of, as you said, buying insurance, buying cars, etc. So there really is an economic benefit for our city, state, community, whatever you want to call it as well.
Right.
And it's a safety issue.
It's a big safety issue. I had a situation where the person actually, I don't know if he created any passing somebody speeding or whatever, but when he saw the lights, he freaked out and he fled.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly
because
what the
he's undocumented. He has 3 babies. He thought of the wife. He thought of all this. And one night, I'm done. So he was scared of it, and well, he had to eventually stop. So now you got 2 against him, no license and resisting.
Yeah, it's going downhill fast.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it takes years. I at Board of Hispanic Caucus chairs earlier this summer as well. I spoke with some legislators from New Jersey and from Connecticut where they have passed in-state tuition, and they were telling me this. It took us 6-8 years. So these things take, just like with going back to your license as well, they take time. You just have to progress and see, how work on it and don't give up on it.
Just start. Exactly. Anything else that you have there that's doing great, that's working on it once the new year comes in and you're serving again as a state representative? Any changes, any addition, anything else you're working on?
Well, I mean, I mentioned, the pensions, I mentioned in-state tuition. I will give you something else real quick that actually came from and Vernon Smith was there as well. Gary Chamber of Commerce had an event and a luncheon, and they had all of us that represent senators and reps that are connected to Gary. And one of the things that was asked was, business owners talked about, we want to help those people that have been incarcerated. We want to employ them, but we're a little bit nervous because if they do something, I think the example given was if I hire someone as a driver and they decide to rob a gas station, then I'm legally held responsible. So they were asking for protection because they want to help people get back on their feet. Again, that's workforce development. That's one of my focus. So working with our wonderful Legislative Services Agency, who are one of the greatest groups of people on this earth, for those of you that don't know, they help us in terms of our legislation. A certificate of employment, and the short version of this is it would not allow for there's some things that are too heinous of crimes, but they could go through a process, get a certificate of employment. It really kind of certifies that they are there's always certification that makes you look better. And it also will provide protection for their employer in terms of if they do something, the employer, it doesn't come back on the employer. So that's just, again, just trying to make it a little bit easier for people to get skilled up, get employed. And it's tough if you've been incarcerated, and we know that there's a lot of people that have been incarcerated because they were at the wrong place at the wrong time, or they made a stupid decision at 18 years old. And we don't want that to be something that negatively influences the rest of their life. We want them, and again, that's for the betterment of society as well. Want them to be able to get back on their feet and hopefully become productive citizens.
Yeah.
But the business owners talked about they would like some help with some protection.
Well, that's good to hear.
So that's another thing working on.
That's good to hear. Anything else, Juan? Do you have a question for him?
Are all the state reps and all the state senators in Indiana up for election?
No, well, all the reps are.
All the reps are.
Because we're every 2 years. Not all the senators are. So, Senator Melton and Senator Randolph in our area, they are not up for election this year.
Do you see any pickups in terms of Democrats versus Republicans in November that may be increasing?
Yeah, we're talking. We currently in the House, it's 70-30 Republican dominant. We have had conversation. We think we can get 5 seats. So we're targeting that 5, maybe 7 seats. Again, it's about people getting out and voting, and Democrats getting out and voting, and either going in early or on election day. I mean, that's really what it's going to come out. It's a numbers thing. But I think if we get people motivated as we've been working on and get them to come out, we can pick up some seats.
I just heard on the radio the other day about in Indiana that the legislature, I think, in terms of workman's compensation, where employers are going to be now have to contribute less than what they were originally contributing to workman's compensation. Do you know anything about that?
No,
I just heard that. Well, yeah. So I guess I don't know if this just happened or
You
it's
said
something that's being
workman's
proposed. So it's in reference to workman's compensation and the fact now that employers are going to they're going to have to put in. They're not going to have to put in as much into what they do for workman's compensation than what they were before. And I think the thought behind that, from what I heard on the radio, was that there are less cases that involve workman compensation issues, and that's the reasoning for this reduction by employers into the workman's comp.
I'll have to look into that. You know, and that actually is a perfect example of why we need to pay attention to what the people that want to be in elected offices are doing, because we've already seen a whittling over the last 2 years. We've seen a whittling away of different things, and we've heard other conversations about other things. And so, you know, we have to make sure that we get the right people in so that we can prevent those things from happening, and prevent those things from going away.
That just goes back to what's happening on a national level, where the national level, they are for big business and industry and screw everyone else, so to speak.
Well, that's my point. That's why we have to pay attention and get people elected.
And before we wrap this up with State Representative Earl Harris, we have a commercial, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Anything you want to share to our YouTubers, to our Facebookers?
Hey, hope everyone is having a good night out there. I again want to reiterate and talk about the importance of voting. If you have not already voted, please, please, please get out there and vote. Early voting is already going on in multiple locations. Or if you are traditional and you want to vote on Election Day, November 6th is the day. I'm going to give a couple of real quick pieces. If you go to indianavoters.in.gov, you can check your voting status and your voting location. So please, please get involved with the process. We have a lot of great candidates that we need to get in office. So thank you. Appreciate your time tonight.
Yes, and thank you for joining us here. We were going to a commercial, so give us a minute. We'll be back here on AM 1370, the Region's Choice and the People's Voice, and we'll be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. Don't know yet who we're going to have. You know, sometimes we surprise you. Sometimes we can't get a confirmation fast enough. But we're glad for you to be here with us. And, of course, we thank you all the time for coming in and supporting our station. We need more Latinos to support this only bilingual talk program that we have here. Many people are asking every time for free. This is not public radio. And, of course, Representative Earl also paid for his time, in case some of you want to know. So are we coming back on? Oh, there we go. All right. Anyway, you want to say one last thing or do another minute?
Oh, what I said.
Yeah, do another minute because these commercials are taking time. And we thank you, Facebookers. We love you. And we got new YouTube channels, so subscribe to our channel. You can always go back and play these. Right?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Replaying is always a good thing.
You may miss something and you go back and, oh, I didn't hear that. Oh, I didn't know he said that. Where was I? And then cheese me? No. you were gossiping over there. That's why you missed it. Is it just one commercial?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to elect leaders who will stand up and block Trump's biased agenda. Joe Donnelly is one of those leaders.
I'm just going to say this, that God is in control, and who wins will win. And we never have any losers, as a matter of fact. But one thing that I will tell you as a political candidate, if you're watching or listening, don't stop doing what you're doing. Don't do it just because you want to gain my vote. Don't follow me and like me on Facebook and like everything so that I can vote for you, and then all of a sudden you stop liking. I'm just telling you because this happened. You know I keep it real. Come on. If you like my stuff because it's genuine, coming from your heart. Just saying. Just saying. And if you're volunteering, you're helping, and you're doing community work now because you're running for office, if you don't win, continue to do what you're doing. Continue to give back because that says a lot about you. It says if it came from the heart or not. All right, we're back live on WLTH radio, and of course we said things on YouTube and on Facebook off the air, but I'll say it again. I'll say it tomorrow, so we don't want to take any more time. We do have a next guest. One last thing you want to say?
I just want to one more time talk about the importance of voting. I want to give some information. You can check your voting status and location at indianavoters.in.gov. And again, early voting is going on. So please, you get out there and vote early if you want to. A lot of people, in fact, this was talked about last night at the Lake County Democrats event. I believe the number is 7,000 people have already voted early.
Wow.
2 years ago, I believe we were about at 1,600. So that's
that's
increase.
huge.
And if you are
I wonder
traditional,
why. That's a wonderful thing.
It is a wonderful thing. And if you're traditional and want to vote on election day, remember that day is November 6th. And I want to ask you to support Senator Joe Donnelly, Representative Visklowski, Indiana Secretary of State candidate Jim Harper, State Auditor candidate Jocelyn Whitaker, Indiana State Treasurer candidate John Aguilera, and of course, our local Lake County Sheriff Oscar Martinez. So again, vote. People, it's very important. This is your life. We will lose rights and things that will take us decades to get back. So we want to make sure you get out there and express yourself. Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you.
Express yourself. I had to go into a song. All right. Thank you, Earl. Appreciate you
You're
as
welcome.
always.
Thanks for having me. I
And you
appreciate
can
it.
always share what we have. And then we have our one more guest coming in, and he's got some announcements. He wants to invite you, the public as well, to something that's great, to something that's moving, something that's powerful. And I'm going to co-host with Pastor Joey Miranda, and that's coming up. So I'm not going to steal his thunder. Come on over here, CJ. Is Pastor coming? Because we can bring another chair.
Yeah, can we get another chair from? Is that okay?
Yeah, he's going to get another chair real quick. So we're live here on Facebook and on YouTube, and this is AM 1370, the Region's Choice and the People's Voice. And we have CJ Calvin J. Suttles Jr.
Junior's correct.
Yeah. So tell us who you are. I mean, I know who you are, but, we got people watching that don't know who you are.
I am a assistant pastor at Faith Road Indiana Church, and I am the director of Glow Night. And Glow Night is a annual youth gathering, young adult gathering that we have constantly inviting our young people to just be the light, to glow, to be positive, to show the world that at a young age you can make a difference no matter what, whether you be 8 years old or 18 years old. So I'm really big on youth. I'm also a youth pastor, a choir director, event director. I'm constantly on the go.
Sounds like me. But the devil can't catch up with us when we're always on the go,
That's
serving
right.
God and
That's
doing
right.
his work.
That's right.
So how was this idea born out of Glow Night? Why Glow Night? I mean, yeah, we want to shine, all that, but there's a message there. I mean, that came from you.
I would say the birthing of Glow Night happened one summer. I just was thrilled with a family friend of mine who was just telling me, like, you know what Indiana needs? Indiana needs like an Acquire the Fire, a youth conference, something that's gonna just have the young people, give them something to do. And I remember I went to my cousin Pastor Joey's church, and they did a jam night, and they had concerts, and just it was huge. And I was like, you know what? I want to take the same concept that they're doing, and I want to spark it the same way that they're doing, and have different people come and show their talent. And I remember just sitting there and like thinking, okay, I got 3 weeks to plan this. Because my father was like, okay, son, if you're going to do this, then, we got to go through the church calendar, and we got to make sure that we do it on time, and that we, goes in line with everything that's happening at the church. And I was like, okay, well, I can plan it in 3 weeks. And he's like, could you? And on 3 weeks later, I had
And we did.
400.
We did.
We totally maxed out the whole
Yes, you did.
venue.
Talk about breaking chains.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the altar calls.
Yeah, everything was just really incredible.
On fire.
Really incredible.
Wow. We have your dad here, Pastor Suttles. Do you have a few words to say? Would you like a few words to say here, of course?
Yeah, just say hi. Also here to support my son, and just the gifting and the creativity and just a heart that the Lord has given him for young people in this region. He has really just grown up and matured, and really love people, and that's Christ's heart. That's compassion, and we are in a time where so many young people need a positive message.
Mhm.
Of course, that message is the message of Christ, the
Amen.
gospel.
Amen.
And that's what Glow Night's all about.
Mhm.
It's sharing
Mhm.
Jesus, but in a way that relates to young people in our day.
Amen.
And so I am just excited about it. I've been to all of them myself and just loved it. And also the great people that he has to come out and minister and just bless. So, man, if you're out there and on that day, you want to come, you want to be a part of this, because it really will bless you and encourage you.
Oh yeah. And how about the parents? I think they'll be touched too.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Right? So tell us about that.
Well, there's a lot of parents, I mean, that are supporting. We've got a lot of the adults in our church that are helpers, that are assisting him. We want to see this thing go on. And more than anything, it's an outreach of Faith World. And we really, really want to make an impact. And so we've gotten testimony of people that have told us, man, when is Glow Night? When is it going to happen again? We loved it. It was just a blessing.
Mhm.
So we have, I'll be honest, there's probably more adults that,
Yeah.
that want to be there than the young people. But at the same time, it is a blessing, and it's for everybody. Everyone should come out and be a part. Adults should come out and support what's happening.
That's right. So parents, bring your kids. And when is it? Where is it? Real quick.
So Glow Night's gonna be at Night of Columbus Hall. It's gonna be 3916 173rd Street. And that is where we currently rent out the hall for our church, Faith World Indiana Church. It's going to be there at 6:00 p.m. The event starts, but at 5 p.m. the doors open. And one of the issues we're having, and I would say it's a good issue, is that seats are already being reserved.
Oh.
So because the seats are already being reserved, it's already like you need to be there at 5 to at
Yeah.
least get now the middle
Yeah.
section.
First come, first serve.
First come, first serve.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's a
so
good kind of issue to have.
It is.
it is. It is. So, we really want to continue. I mean, we want to take this to the high school.
Amen. And it is, and it will be done. It is said, it is done. I think that we will.
Yeah, we will.
We will.
We will.
We
Yeah.
will. We will. And so I want to thank you as well publicly for inviting me again, once again,
Oh, yeah,
to
for
co-host, co-MC with Pastor Joey Miranda. So I know we're going to have fun.
Yeah.
And let me just tell you, parents, some of you may think, oh, you guys are too churchy. You know what? You don't even know what your kids are going through until they come to an event like this.
It's true.
I'm telling you, these kids are crying. These kids are hungry for a solution to their problems.
Yeah,
And that you as a parent can't or don't know how to. But we know that we serve an awesome God, and he knows how to
Yeah.
through all of us.
Yes.
So parents, we're not churchy. We are right. We have the best ingredient for your child and for you.
It's true. It's so true. I mean, you don't know if that night that your child comes to Glow Night, that might have been the night they were thinking about staying home and committing suicide.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or giving up their virginity.
Yeah.
Or going out to kill someone.
Yeah.
But they come to Glow Night and they hear all these artists talk about how they changed their life around for the better. And now they're rap artists. They're dancing. They're doing whatever it takes to fulfill their gift, fulfill their calling, fulfill their destiny. And that's kind of the one thing that we want to encourage these young people to do is come out on this.
And
wonderful night.
you mentioned artists. Who are we having?
So I would
real quick, come on.
Who
do we have?
So quickly, I have Free Worship, they are just amazing. They are amazing. They're from Chicago. They're with Pastor Choco de Jesus.
Yes, Pastor Choco's gonna be in the house.
His team will be there. They're gonna be coming out. We have Danny Camacho, who is an upcoming hip hop artist. And then we are also having man, there's so many. Danny Camacho, Free Worship. We're having Silent Praise. An awesome mime team. We have the Glow Night Band with some of amazing worship leaders. And it's going to be an amazing night.
And when is it? And where again?
October 27th.
Where?
At Night of Columbus Hall. 3916 173rd.
All right, so you guys heard it.
Hammond, Indiana.
Hammond, Indiana.
Indiana.
We're gonna promote it again tomorrow. So you know what? We got to do what we got to do to save the world.
Yeah.
One child at a time.
Glow night.
Amen. Glow night. Wear your glow attire, right?
Wear your glow
Glow
attire.
your attire.
Yeah,
Glow braces, glasses, clothes, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah, bring it all.
And bring it all. And on that note, we'll be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nuestra Comunidad Noreste de Indiana. And our next show, I guess, is something to do with sports, huh? So I've heard. Or what is it? We got issues and answers? Okay, so we're back to issues and answers. 6 to 7. Oh, okay. 6 to 7 issues and answers, 7 to 8. Poll suppression?
We're going to be talking about voter suppression.
Voter suppression is the next topic. So tune in. So stay in the channel, AM 1370. And of course, the Gary Community School. So we're coming up with the next program. Thank you for joining us here on Nuestra Comunidad Noreste de Indiana. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Hasta luego. And with you guys, you YouTubers and followers on Facebook and also everywhere else, share the love, share the word. Peace to you guys. Peace to you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
So then.
And say hasta luego on our YouTube, Juanito.
Adios till mañana, 10 o'clock in the morning. Yes, de la mañana hasta las 11 de la mañana.
Nos vemos mañana.
Okay.